When we think of a Christmas truce, we naturally think of the one that happened in 1914 on the Western Front. But let's talk about a different Christmas time truce. In 1418, the army of King Henry V arrived outside the city of Rouen and began to lay siege to it. Henry surrounded the city on all sides and used iron chains to cut off the River Seine. Over the next few months, the city would begin to succumb to the horrors of starvation and disease. In an attempt to relieve pressure from the city's dwindling food supplies, and to allow the garrison to keep fighting the English for a little bit longer, the city's constable, Guy de Boutillier, decided that he was going to exile 12,000 of the city's population from the city. When King Henry V saw this exodus of people arriving out of the city, he refused to allow them through the English lines. This meant that the exiled people were now trapped outside of the city, eventually settling in the ditch that used to be the city's moat. The winter of 1418 must have been a terrible thing to experience for those people trapped outside the city. But when Christmas Day came around, King Henry V decided that he was going to perform an act of charity, and he asked for a ceasefire to be able to feed these people trapped outside the city walls. As John Page put it, "Of his goodness a great token he did send upon that Christmas day, his heroes dressed in rich array, and said because of that high feast, both to the most and to the least, within the city and without, those without food that had gone without, they should have meat and drink." Boutillier agreed to this request, provided that the food was delivered to a designated location of his choosing, and that it was delivered by 2 of Henry's priests, rather than by his soldiers. Sadly, I can't imagine there were many people outside the city walls who could actually take part in this donation of food, but to those who did receive it, it must have been some real necessary relief. In fact, this offer of food was eventually extended to people inside the city walls as well. When Christmas Day ended, it was back to business as usual, and the siege continued like nothing had even happened. Eventually, on the 19th of January 1419, the city of Rouen would surrender to the English, and the city could at last begin receiving a more regular supply of food.